Hi viewers, in this video we're going to talk about the 2015 movie Mad Max Fury Road. We'll discuss the movie story, summarize the plot and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we'll cover the movie production details and box office performance. Finally, we'll provide a review and share some personal reactions. Let's begin with the movie story. Max Rockstansky was once a cop and road warrior trekking through post-apocalypse Australia, running from the haunting thoughts of his dead wife and child and the other dead people he's encountered. A two-headed lizard crawled up near Max and he stomps on it before eating it. He drives off and is quickly pursued by a group of scavengers called the War Boys, who are all pale and covered in blisters due to sickness. They chase Max through the desert and cause him to crash before they capture him. The War Boys take Max to their location and shave his head and face. They tattoo his back and try to use him as a blood bag since he is a universal blood donor. Max is nearly branded with an image of a skull engulfed on fire until he breaks free and runs from the War Boys. Max continues to see the image of the dead before he makes into exit throws high above the ground. He jumps out and latches into a hug throw. He keeps swimming in the direction of the War Boys and they manage to pull him back toward them. In the Citadel, there is a large community of survivors lorded over by the lodge of the War Boys immortal Joe. Joe wears a grotesque face mask made of horse teeth to help him breathe. He supplies the people with some water, making everyone go crazy and fight for it once Joe shuts it off. He wants the people not to become addicted to water so that they do not go mad over his absence. He then sends his commander Imperator Furiosa out in a huge war rig to collect gasoline from Gastown along with a group of War Boys. On the road, Furiosa diverts from the path to Gastown and heads east. Joe is alerted to the movement and runs into his chamber where he keeps his 5 wives. Women choose to breed his children. Nobody is there, but he finds writing that say our children will not be warlords and who killed the world. An old woman stands alone telling Joe that he cannot own a woman. Furiosa is taking the women away from Joe, prompting him to rally the War Boys and go after her. One of the War Boys, Nux, is using Max as his blood bag and he jumps at the chance to go after Furiosa so that Joe can bring him to the gates of Valhalla. The War Boys ride after the rig. Nux taps Max to the hood of his car and eagerly chases Furiosa alongside the others. They attempt to get close to the rig, but Furiosa shakes most about them. Nux gets close to rigs as Max attempts to break free. Furiosa drives towards the huge oncoming sandstorm. Nux continues to chase after her, even as they head into Tricius and Trondus. A War Boys get killed in the sandstorm, while Nux and Max are spun out of control, causing them to crash. Max awakens to find himself still chained to an unconscious Nux. He grabs a rifle and tries to shoot off Nux's wrist, but the gun is jammed. He walks around the rig to see the women. Splendid Angard, Toss the Knowing, Capable, Cheeto the Fragile, and the Dag cleaning themselves with the hose. Asgard is 9-month-old pregnant with Joe's child, and Dog is also carrying his baby. Max holds the rifle at the women for them to give up the water. He sprays a bunch of water in his mouth and then makes them together to break off his chain. Dag tries to but cannot break it. Furiosa sees from the distance that Joe has gathered reinforcements from the other town that supply gas and ammunition to the Citadel, led by the People Eater and the Bullet Farmer. Max and Furiosa fight as he tries to break himself of Nux. Nux wakes up and helps Max fight Furiosa. Nux breaks off the chain and Max tries to take the rig for himself. However, it stalls because Furiosa installed a kill switch and only she knows how to keep it going. Max lets her back on the rig but he doesn't want to take the rest of the women. Furiosa insists that they join him as she is guiding the women to a location from her youth called the Green Place. They ride off while Nux sneaks drop board. Furiosa drives off the rig up to a cannon where a group of bikers panic to wait for their payment in the gasoline. They spot Joe and his forces coming in close. Furiosa drives the rig away while the bikers blow up the overpass to block Joe out. Another chase ensues through the desert. The War Boys keep trying to overtake the rig while Joe is catching up faster. He attempts to shoot at the rig until Asgard steps out as a human shield and Joe cannot do a thing without hurting his potential son. Nux attempts to help Joe, who sprays chrome paint on Nux's mouth with the promise of bringing him to the gates of Valhalla if Nux succeeds. Almost immediately, Nux loses his gun in front of Joe, who continues driving with the disappointment. Engard tries climbing back to the front of the rig, but she falls off and is run over by the Joe's car. The women tell Max to turn back, but when he tells Firosa that Engard went under the wheels, Firosa says they must keep going. The others cry for Engard's. Next, break back into the rig with the promise of helping the women awake Joe. He lays on the floor, distraught that he feared Joe yet again and has lost his chance of joining his personal army. Capable sits and consoles him. At the front, Firosa tells Max of the green place and how she was taken from it as a child. As they continue driving through the night, the rig gets stuck in a big burned pile. The bullet farm is not from behind. Max shoots at him but misses, and then Firosa gets a clean shot, taking out the bullet farmer's light and blinding him. Meanwhile, Joe's lieutenant Slit takes Engard parties as she is near death and he cuts the baby out of her stomach. The baby is dead too, but he tells Joe that it was a boy. Joe tells his son Rictus that he had a brother. Rictus screams proudly. The women continue to try to get the rig out of the mud while Max goes out of the face to Bullet Farmer himself. He returns with the Bullet Farmer's blood on his face along with a nice supply of the guns and ammo. In the morning, the rig comes up to a tower where a naked woman, the Valkyrie, is screaming. Max thinks it's a trap, but Firosa steps out and tells the Valkyrie her mother's name and her affiliation with the clan. The Valkyrie clamps down the tower and puts on a robe. More elder women, the Valkyrie, emerge. The old keeper of the seats recognizes Firosa. She tells them that she is taking the women to the green place, but the keeper of the seats informs that the muddy swamp they passed through was the green place, and it is uninhabitable. Firosa walks into and falls on her knees, screaming in despair. The Wolverine agree to help the women ride through the salt flats in search of a home. Max, still haunted by the image of his wife and child, decided to help the women go back to the citadels since Joe's greenery and water supply are currently unguarded. They also plan to trap him and his army in the cannons. The whole group rides back in the direction of the citadels. Joe sees them riding from the telescope, knowing full well their plan is. He gathered his army and gave chase. The Wolverine help fight back. The Valkyrie shoots at the war boys while defending one of her own until she is run over. Max and Firosa kill some of the war boys while Max gets Joe to kill the People Eater by using him as a human shield. The keeper of the seats is also killed when one of the war boys cuts her neck. Toast is captured by Joe and held hostage. Firosa is impaled and gets weaker as Joe and Rictus gain momentum. Toast distracts Joe long enough to get Firosa an opportunity to hook Joe's mask onto the wheels of his car. She growls, "Remember me," to him as the wheels up, trying to kill the group. The rig then heads towards the cannon with Rictus still trying to kill the group. The women get off safety while Nux says goodbye to Capable and serves against the cannon, sacrificing himself to kill Rictus and collapse the overpass to put an end to Joe's army. On the way back to the citadels, Firosa's lungs nearly collapse. Max punctured a hole in her side to give her an air. She starts to lose consciousness and Max starts to give her a blood transfusions. He tells her his name as she closes her eyes. The group arrives at the citadels. Max presents the people with Joe's mouthless corpse, making everyone cheer. They rip Joe's corpse apart and feed off him. The water supply is brought out, giving the people as much water as they need. Firosa rises and apparently becomes the new leader. She and Max acknowledge each other with respect one more before he slips away into the crowd to continue on his own path. Now let's talk about the complete cast of the Mad Max Fury Road 2015. Tom Hardy as Max, Charlize Theron as Imperator Firosa, Nicholas Hoult as Nux, Hugh Gisbrine as Immortan Joe, Josh Hillman as Slit, Nathan John as Rictus Rectus, Lucy Lupton as the Splendid Engard, Zoe Kravitz as Toast the Knowing, Riley Thaw as Capable, Rocky Eaton as Gito the Fragile, Richard Fairburn as the Bullet Farmer, Angus Sampson as the Organic Mechanic, Megan Gale as the Valkyrie, Matija Visek as the Wolverine, Gallian Jones as the Wolverine, Melissa Jaffer as Keeper of the Seeds, Jennifer Hagan as Miss Giddy, Luta as the Doof Warrior, John Howard as the People Eater, Abby Lee as the Dak, Melita Jurassic as the Wolverine, Joy Smither as the Wolverine, Anthony Corman as the Vovellini, Christiana Koch, the Vovellini, Quentin Cahan as the Corpusculson, Cresperton as Morsov, Stephen Dolphiny as the Rock Rider Chief, Coco Jack Gleis as Glory the Child, Vincent Roxboss as Imperator, Ben Smith Peterson as Chanting War Boys, Richard Norton as the Prime Imperator, John Walton as Imperator, Roose Malkin as Bloodshade War Boy, Elizabeth Onico as Miking Brother, Robert John as Ripshire Driver, Darren Andrew Mitchell as Black Mask. Now let me provide you the short biography of the main cast. The first one is Charlize Theron, born August 7, 1975. In Benoni, South Africa, is a South African born actress who was noticed for her versatility and earned an Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance as real-life serial killer in Monster 2003. Theron grew up on a farm near Benoni, South Africa. At the age 13, wanting to continue her police studies, she began attending a boarding school that specialized in the arts. During a visit home when she was 15, her mother shot and killed her father in self-defense after being attacked by him while he was drunk. At age 16, Theron moved to Milan to work as a model. 2 years later, he settled in New York City, where she continued to model and began studying at the Joffrey Ballet School. A knee injury ended her chances for a career in dance, however, as she attempted unsuccessfully to pursue acting jobs. Theron eventually moved to Hollywood, and while making a loud scene after a bank refuses to cash a check, she was discovered by an agent. She subsequently began landing some small parts, which of one is 2 Days in the Valley 1996, gained her favorable notice and paved the way of her first lead in The Devil's Advocate 1997. The film showcased her acting ability and versatility and led to the further substantial roles, notability in Mighty Joe Young 1998, Celebrity 1998, The Cider House Rules 1999, and The Italian Job 2003. Her acting talent was further expressed in her award-winning performance as serial killer Elaine Vormus in Monster. Theron's impression in the role she became almost unrecognizable, thanks partly to her nearly 30 weight gain helped her become the first African to win an acting Oscar. Theron appeared in 2 movies in 2004, The Life and Death of Paper Stealers and The Head in the Clouds. Her performance as a miner battling sexual harassment in North Country 2005 earned Theron an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. She subsequently appeared in the drama In the Valley of Elah 2007, the superhero movie Hancock 2008, and The Road 2009, an adaptation of comic Mercury post-apocalyptic novel of the same name. In the drama Young Adult 2011, Theron starred as a wealthfully immature woman who returns to her hometown in pursuit of high school sweetheart. She entered the screen as the evil queen in the dark fairy tale adaptation Snow White and the Huntsman 2012 and its sequels The Huntsman Winter's War 2016. Her character is the sci-fi thriller Prometheus 2012. The lead of a tape adaptation was similarly Ice and Precious. Theron later roles are Gamses who was just Shepard played by Seth MacLeod in the sport A Million Ways to Die in the West 2014. Imperator Furiosa, an emblematic warrior on a mission to save a group of enslaved women in Mad Max Fury Road 2015, and Labby Day, a woman instigated and brutal of murder of her family in Dark Places 2015. An adaptation of the thrill novel by Gilani Flynn in the animation Kobo and the Two Strange 2016. Theron provided the voice for a Surly Monkey in 2017. He started in the action thrill The Fate of the Furious, the 8th film in the Fast and Furious series, and Atomic Blonde, in which she played a British spy. Theron's films in 2018 include the dark comedy Gringo about a pharmaceutical company executive who is kidnapped by members of drug cartel in Mexico, the story of which she earned enthusiastic reviews of her uncompromising betrayal of an overwhelmed mother of 3. Theron later started in the romantic comedy Long Shot 2019, playing a U.S. Secretary of State who is planning on running for president. Her other credits from 2019 included Bombshell, a docudrama about the sexual harassment scandal that led Roger Elias to resign as president of the Fox News Channel. For her performance as Megyn Kelly in the film, Theron received her third Oscar nomination. She then appears in the action movies The Old Guard 2020 about a group of immortal mercenaries and F9 The Fast Saga 2021, an installment in the Fast and Furious series. During this time, she also voiced the matriarch Motrica in the animated comedy The Addams Family 2019 and its 2021 sequel. Our second main character is Nicholas Hoult as Nux. Born December 7, 1989, Wokingham, Berkshire, England, is a British actor who is perhaps best known for playing Hank McCoy Beast in the X-Men series of the movies and Nux in the Mad Max Fury Road 2015. Hoult was the grandnephew of British stage and screen star drama Anna Neagle. His father was a commercial pilot, his mother taught piano, as the three siblings all had acting experience. At the age of 3, Hoult at translucent watching his brother James performing the play and was discovered by the director of that production, who remarked that if he could concentrate on watching a play then he could be in one. Hoult made his feature film debut in Intimate Revelation 1996, but it was his second film about a boy 2002, made when he was 20 years old. He brought his international attention in the comedy, which was based on a novel by Nick Hornby. He portrayed Near Child with Lachlan Eyebrows, who is taken under the wing of an unlikely mentor played by Hugh Grant. Hoult's career as a child actor was brief, however, because in the span of 3 years he grew to a height of 6 feet 3 inches. As a teen, he portrayed heartless heartthrob Tony Stormer in the British TV drama Skins, before American fashion designer Tom Ford lured him to Hollywood to appear in Ford Directions' debut, A Single Man 2009. Hoult started opposite Colin Firth as a charming college student who uses his seduction power to draw out a grieving and closest gay man. In 2013, he appeared as a zombie in Warm Bodies. Hoult's first action film was Clash of the Titans in 2010. He then physically transformed himself beyond recognition to play the Beast in X-Men First Class 2011, X-Men Days of the Future Past 2014, and X-Men Apocalypse 2016. He underwent another transformation for his lodge in George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road 2015. In the futuristic thrill, he was cast as Nux, a bald-headed, positive-faced war boy and fanatic follower in the army of villainous Immortan Joe. In 2015, Hoult also started the Kristen Stewart in Equal, about a young pupil who began a forward romance in the Patriotic Society in which the development of feeling single deadly disease and banished. Hoult's later film credits include the British action thriller comedy in which he portrayed an American backpacker who becomes involved the drug smuggler after getting a job at their driver. The Sandcastle Bar 2016 about the Iraq War. In Rebel in the Ray 2017, he started as D.G. Slanger, author of The Catcher in the Rye, continued to show his versatility. Hoult played an 18th century politician in The Favourite 2018, a historical drama about the Queen Anne court. During this time, he also lent his voice to the animation TV Ministry's Warship Town 2018, which was based on Richard Adams' beloved children's book. Hoult's credits from 2018 include The Bard of Tolkien, about the early years of the famed writer. The following year, he appeared in The Banker, playing the frontman of two African enterprises in 1950s. In 2020, Hoult returned to the television with the debut of two series, The Great, a fictionalized drama about the rise of Catherine the Great, and Crossing Sword, an animated comedy in which he voiced a piece to become a sequel. He then played a killer hunting a young boy in the action thriller Those Who Wish Me Death 2021. In the Menu 2022, Hoult portrays a Patricia's 40. The box office performance of Mad Max Fury Road. Warner Bros. Time Warner just sent out a press release proclaiming the above box office milestone. So yes, Mad Max Fury Road has indeed crossed the $300 million worldwide mark at the global box office. The film has earned $125.1 million in the US and $177 million overseas, giving the Tom Hardy Charlize Theron release a $3.2 million worldwide count. The film opened 4 Fridays ago with a rebate $45.4 million domestic opening as a $109 million worldwide box. The film has opened in the most of its market, with the film set to open in the Japan on June 20th. We all like to talk about China as the big corner of overseas market, but Japan is no clutch either. As a production budget of $150 million, conventional wisdom in the film is now basically in the safe break-even zone, with it would be benefit starting to seek in the $375 million mark. I like to use 2.5x the budget as a general safe zone for actual or eventual profit, but of course even movies indifferent. So pursuing it continue its legacy worldwide run, George Miller's fourth Mad Max installment is a solid hit. The success of Mad Max Fury Road is something of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's critically acclaimed outrage masterpiece that offers eye-opening practical action and stunt work, as well as the kind of cabaret party that is all too rarely seen in the mainstream cinema. That the film basically cast Charlize Theron and not Tom Hardy as the action lead, and the would-be protagonist in the story that is explicitly about the real harm done to men and women because of gender suppression and particular rule in old news by now. And we all know about the various men's rights activities who protected the film. We stupidly gave a national performance so we could feel superior by sweating down the low-hanging fruit, but I disagree. Of course, even with all of the celebrity over the fact and the dialogue of Furiosa collapses and fan action spin-off hopes still to come, it's not like one action film is going to solve the problems of ingrained gender abbreviation. Its views from here and abroad any more than the Oscar drama of 12 years a slave magically saw reconnaissance in America. But the film's success does hopefully signal to those who could make creative decisions in Hollywood that the so-called conventional wisdom about females in big-budget action film is merely conventional wisdom rather than substantial fact. Hopefully it will have a positive effect beyond just resulting in Charlize Theron playing Captain Marvel as a drama reeks of fan casting. At the very least, it might help get the Academy to start recognizing the honoring stunt people as honest to garnish Oscar category. The best news, to the extent that the box office triumph of a beloved new action classic is a bad thing, in the Mad Max Fury Road also represent a successful example of Hollywood taking a ridiculous old property and rebooting it for today's audience. Yes, in that case it was a passion project by the original directors. Yes, in this case there's some flavor of the month male lead Tom Hardy box office drama of Child 44 and his means was playing a glorified sporting role in a somewhat similar manner to Keanu Reeves in 74 Ronin. And yes, Mad Max Fury Road is the best movie of the year thus far. Barzangri original title action wanted excuse as a franchise rehash, but the success of Mad Max Fury Road will likely only lead to more 80s and 90s properties being remade or rebooted properly of the edge brand awareness. Hollywood has a terrible habit of learning the wrong lesson from their success. This is an industry that saw success of Twilight and greenlit I Am Number 4, and they saw the success of Inception and decided to remake Total Recall. I honestly shudder to think about the results of Mad Max Fury Road's relative box office victory will be. But that's conventional for other day. Warner Bros. Marketing was a solid tip for the head of this one. This could have easily been something skin of cowboys and alien, although to be fair the film was justly panned by critics and Greeks prior to its release. The question becomes whether the 4Geeks only novelty like Grodd or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a figment of recent past, whereby Greek culture is now so ingrained into the mainstream that the likes of Mad Max Fury Road are Kingsman. The Secret Service are now more likely to be exception rather than the rule, but there's a question that I do not know the answer to. So for the moment, let us celebrate a really good film on its way to a rather solid box office total. It's not out of the woods yet. It has not even passed at $367 million after too expensive, but not really a flop Age of Tomorrow, but the legs are here and a broad point is solid in figure. Japan is the wild card at its possibility of a China release at some point, but for now the news is good and the film already tripling its debut figure in America and about to triple its worldwide opening as well. Mad Max Fury Road is an unequivocally good movie that has thus far found eventually solid box office result. Today I choose to celebrate and once again remind everyone that Warner Bros. Is more than just Harry Potter and DC Comics movies. Full cast and crew of the movie. Production management. Andrew Buckler as unit manager. George Buckle as production manager. Dean Hood as unit production manager. Jason Promptos as director of production. Terry Lynn Robertson as production manager. Matt Town as post-production supervisor. Ashish Kokian as production manager. Lynn Annie Waslow as production manager. Alan Cherries as production manager. Paul Ranford as unit production manager. Kevin Jenkins as unit manager, Namibia Prep. Sally French as supervising unit production manager. Brandon Moss as unit manager. Makeup department. Tara Early as additional makeup artist. Clotilde Empress as personal hairstylist. Mackley Brickman as assistant makeup artist. Kaya Pilal as hairstylist. Don Broker as special makeup effect artist. Alisa Campagna as makeup artist. Rachel Conin as special makeup effects artist. Nekiu Da Silva as makeup artist. Andrew Toila as makeup artist. Troy Fillington as hairstylist. John Franchise as additional hairstylist. Lee Green as graphic designer specialty tattoos. Kayla Harrison as special makeup effect artist. Wright Hayward as makeup assistants. Matthew Hobart Tripp as prosthetic artist. Adam Johansson as prosthetic makeup coordinator. Adam Kelly as senior wood mapper. Marley Crocker as makeup artist. Kimberly Lever as daily prosthetic artist. Mariel McCurley as prosthetic makeup artist. Jelank Muller as makeup department runner. Aitan Bogerstons as makeup artist. Rochelle Onades as prosthetic makeup artist. Christiana Peterson as contact lens designer. Nadine Pritch as hair supervisor. Jess Risi as senior prosthetic artist. Ali Robertson as makeup attachment. And Ron Smith as Domi supervisor. Jaco Sion as senior prosthetic artist. Emily Stockrot as hair supervisor, Veta workshop. Leon Van Veek as makeup artist. Shilton Weiss as casual makeup artist. Colleen Weir as special makeup effect artist. Christine Wheeler as hair stylist. Victor Javier as Bernard, promo makeup artist. Helen McLachis as makeup artist. Daniel Penthoxy as makeup artist. Gernot Southland as gold maker and lab technician. Alistair Mori as prosthetic makeup artist. Crane Conley as special makeup artist. David Wallace as makeup effect. Marina Weber as hairstylist. Velkra Vardiga as senior prosthetics. Hasley Windward as hair designer. Brian Van Dorn as live casting ODD Studios. Brady Stone as makeup artist prosthetist. Eileen Smith as makeup artist. John Savage as hairstylist. Shannon Riggs as prosthetic sculptor. Angela Cox as prosthetics. Paul Peterson as personal makeup artist. Antasia Pepas as additional hairstylist. Tisa Natoli as hairdresser. Anita Morgan as hairstylist. Michael Makesh as special makeup artist. Damian Martin as prosthetic supervisor. Alisa Langdon as additional makeup artist. Tarian Collar as prosthetic assistant. Aline Jock as prosthetic makeup artist. Emily James as special makeup artist. Matt Horndy as makeup artist. Robin Mara Hatcher as special makeup artist. Warren Hinman as additional hair. Sian Candace as senior prosthetic artist. Gren Fradley as prosthetic artist. Natasha Dutate as makeup artist. Adriana Domtorius as additional makeup artist. Rick Conley as additional makeup. Kylie Clark as hairstylist. Carol Cameron as additional hair artist. Lara Jade Birch as hairstylist. Catherine Biggs as hairstylist. Aline Porres as special makeup artist. Rebecca Allen as additional makeup artist. Now let's talk about the art department. Christine Ederson as set designer, Gustavo Balboa as sculpting foreman, Ron Beck as concept designer, Simon Bethune as weapons, Darren Beckron conceptual artist, Anika Botta lead man, Matt Bromley head motorcycle mechanic, Grace Brown props maker assistants, Rust Bucket art assistants, Stephen Carroll sculptor, Andrew Chan assistant art director, Ross Clark constructional coordinator, Paul Crane mechanic, Rohan Dawson senior scenic foreman, Tony Drew senior model maker, Melissa Ibers woodmaker, Gasila Faber leather worker, Paul French mechanic, William Jett props as William John Jett, Tony Garland armorer Australia, Brandon Gibb landed head carpenter, Sylvia Gacross breakdown artist, Jane Follett key proper maker, Max Hymes action vehicle workshop coordinator Australia, Gordon Hopkirk head woodmaker, Nathan Victory Honey hog scenic, Rebecca Hawcroft art department accountant, Brandon Jack greens foreman, Maximilian Cancel on-set scenic, Chris Laikman designer coordinator, Tim Loughlin occupational health and safety senior first aid, Peter Maltisha props buyer build, and Deans Mary set dresser, Angelo Mustasha first assistant property maker, Tim Migga prop maker, Mark McKinley head mechanic, Karis McMahon sculpture, Gary Middlewick set dresser, Cameron Muller props, Carnel Navrita props, Nico Salvian visual development artist, Daniel Palmer art department, Lachlan Pyle action vehicle mechanic, Yuri Parsi assistant standby prop Sydney, Richard Pitchards visual development artist, John Rand construction manager, Andrew Ricard auto electrician fabricator, Andy Robinson action vehicle Santec, Alex Rocks set builder, Darren Rossell woodmaker, Ivan Shepard concept artist, Stanky Simmons production technology manager, Nick Samuelian action vehicle mechanic, Christo Stridom art department coordinator, Leela St. Paul set dresser, Natalie Taylor art department accountant pre-production, Harrison Torpy set deck runner, Jacob Oshivert Morvi sculptor, Gary Weaker action vehicle assistants, Tony Watt steel trade assistants, Adam Whitley set sculptor, Laureen Wilt action vehicle coordinator, Michael Wolf set finishers, Eric Zaib props, George Zamet standby art director, Randy Anderson assistant Sartori Beck artist, Stuart Russell props, Grant Fricton concept artist, Joshua Zangler carpenter, Vanessa Younger art department coordinator, Robert Wood vehicle buyer, Devalvi Williams props, Nikki Wishman assistant constructional coordinator, Jacob Weir sculptant assistants, Jan Vanges scenic assistants, Tara Van Outstrom assistant director, Annika Vandenrod constructional coordinator, Bryce Tibby auto vehicle coordinator, Marcus Taylor action vehicle mechanic, Sarisa Sapresa standby props, Aslik Stroms action vehicle mechanic, Brandon Smithers construction manager, Peter Seidel Bach domestic, Mark Sexton lead storyback artist, Emilia Rocks art director set dressing, Cameron Rock action vehicle mechanic, Gene Rigby carpenter, Charlie Revi supervising art director, Ronald Ramita weapons leading hand, Peter Pound principal vehicle designer, Christian Peach concept artist, Nick Palmer running buyer, Andrew Orland property master, Reen Nell, set finisher. Geoff Naylor, picture vehicle supervisor. Nicola Mostek, props buyer. Peter Malik, workshop manager. Brodie McLean, buyer dresser. Maureen McGraw, props weapon. McGraw Bike Mutashe, scenic painter. Chris McRovich, set assistant designer. Cameron Manuel, action vehicle mechanic. Myro Maida, concept art department. Cherish Reed, action vehicle welder. George Cotlin, set dresser. James Johnson, action vehicle mechanic. Joel Leverson, art department. Peter Harden, heads greensman. Axel Hoban, set dresser. McCain Henry, senior woodmaker. Mark Harman, dresser. Rocky Comar, action vehicle mechanic. Marco Garrity, fabrication foreman. Catherine Guinea, set finisher. Bros Corman, workshop consultant. Mikhail Collier, action vehicle mechanic. Devalier Forey, action vehicle coordinator. Laurier Fain, picture vehicle buyer. Amanda Annie Smith, post-production assistant. Maxine Dennett, art coordinator. And Rian Dalton, assistant set decorator. Scott Colloy, action vehicle mechanic. Paul Cantor, concept artist. Joe Cash, props. Rithorian Bona, head mechanism. Martin Browish, head scientist artist. Danish Brown, workshop manager. Matt Bach, bite domestic. David Boone, carpenter. Grant Biffin, props. Shane Bennett, on-set dresser. Zion Bentley, leather worker. Marco Attention, set designer. Now let's talk about the special effects. Vaslar Bryan, special effect technician. Matt Appleton, armor supervisor, Meta workshop. Norman Bailey, special effect buyer. Kevin Biters, senior special effect technician. Johnny Parkbridge, special effect technician. Brendan Barry Brown, special effect technician. Aaron Cox, special effect senior technician. Jabin Docklon, special effect supervisor. John Fabrals, special effect technician. Tatterson Fordlos, special effect technician. Dean Franklin, special effect technician. Rob Gillows, workshop supervisor. Rob Hedgie, on-set supervisor. Rick Hui, lead special effect technician. Gauliam Johnstone, special effect technician. Jim Lang, brake pass coordinator. David McLaw, special effect technician. Phil McLeod, senior effect technician. Tim Mitpale, senior special effect technician. Oriante Moro, special effect technician. Dan Oliver, special effect supervisor. Rogi Praise, special effect. Val Papa Trancon, special effect. Simon Cohen, senior protection. Techereon, special effect. Jason Smith, special effect. Arthur Specchiar, special effect. John Van Der Poel, special effect. Ivan Jensny Van Rogerstone, special effect. Matt Ward, special effect. Andy Williamson, special effect supervisor. Grant Bensley, head of production. Dorothy Mohan, special effect technician. Barry Thompson, special effect. Jason Docherty, special effect. John and Jopper Kelsey, special effect. Tim Whiteley, special effect. Paul Warren, senior special effect. Thomas Van Corzine, on-set supervisor. Tom Travis, senior special effect. Emil Simon, special effect. Rocky Rizzo, fabricator. Paul Rodden, special effect. Daniel Prestige, production manager. Steve Platt, senior pick. James Paul, senior special effect. George O'Reilly, special effect. Maxune Alfred, special effect. Dodge Mecham, senior special effect. George M. Becky, senior special effect. Jasmine Leaford, special effect. Sharon Jordan, special effect. Michael Max Hughes, special effect. Leo Henry, pyrotechnician. Seven Head, special effect. Oliver G, special effect. Darren Frank, special effect. Lorette Finemore, special effect. Dave Everett, Armorer, Thomas Elka Davis Special Effect, Randy Bork Special Effect, Bruce Bright Special Effect, Hart Black Special Effect, Gawain Bevan John Proto Technician, Harmon Bailey Special Effect Buyer. Casting Department: Holly Bennett Extra Casting Assistants, Benton Roglish Assistant Assistants, Kate Dawn Casting UK, Bernard Kephart Casting Assistants UK, Bjorn Inchart Casting Assistants, Nicolette Law Casting Coordinator, James Macbeth Extras Casting Assistant Australia, Susan Shochil Casting Assistants, JP Ventermon Extras Casting, Natalie Vale Casting Associate, Milto Sekwal Casting Cape Town, Olga Miller Extra Casting Assistants, George Lordlow Casting Associate, Kat Leonard Extras Casting, Barbara Harris ADR Vice Casting, Joshua Regal 5th Extras Casting, Terry Douglas Assistant Vice Assistants, JB Veldra Casting Protection. Stunts: Keith Adams Stunt Driver, Lee Emerson Principal Warwick Driver, Javish Atkin Stunt Performer, Cameron Embrick Stunt Double, Augene Edison Stunt Double, Doggy Bailey Stunt Driver, Matthew Beecher Digital Assistant Manager, Neil Bennett Stunt Rigger, Arthur Breezan Stunt Performer, Hagan Stunt Blonde Stunt Performer, Darmout Morgan Stunt Rigger, Jala Moon Burnett Stunt Performer, Sebastiano Cartier Stunt Rigger, Glenn Shaw Stunts, Jade Cohan Stunt Performer, Handy Breeze Stunt Performer, Paul Doll Stunt Performer, Mike Duncan Utility Stunts, Kelsey Egan Stunts Utility Stunts, Kim Fordy Utility Stunts, Brenda Fermani Stunts Double, Sam Forsars Stunt Rigger, Gary Ferry Stunts, Bros Garland Stunts Driver, Lime Girlanda Stunt Performer, Dan Grant Stunt Driver, Scotty Grocky Stunt Driver, Tag Griffith Stunt Driver, Nigel Harbach Stunts, John Henley Safety Supervisor, Daniel Himshot Stunt Double, Natasha Hopkin Stunt Double, Roslie Ingrad Stunt Performer, Alex Johnson Stunt, Gary Kingsman Stunts, Nathan Lawson, Aim Liabi, Tory Lynch, Kobe Mickey Motorcycle Double, Minsali Markala, Edro Marquez, Alain Marks, Josh McCrawl, Adriana McShaw Utility Stunts, Roland Melbury Stunt Driver, Olga Miller Stunt Performer, Temoki Tayamokuto Stunt Performer, Craig Morgan Stunt Performer, Aaron Morgan Stunt Performer, Aniel Muller Stunt Double, Teliana Moana Nicola Stunts, Noe Morris Stunts, Stephen Murdoch Stunts, Marcus Mohatra Stunts Performer, Seton Molgar Stunt Performer. Now let's talk about the additional crew of the Mad Max Fury Road. Ikram Abraham Set Medic, Zaneeth Eder Traffic Assistance Director, Hilton Offrey Electrician Press, Valdemar Abrahams Driver, Leith Alexander Transportation, Albany Asher Driver, Joe Cash Picture Cars, Henry Drake Transformation Manager, Karen Firth Driver George Miller, Gatlop Garrett Driver, Ashley Joffrey Driver, Lon Keegan Star Trailer, Darren Loverty Transportation Coordinator, Lervita Villagers Megis Assistance Transportation Coordinator, Tim Pumi Obak Assistance Unit Manager, Aline Rajan Hijrani Transportation Coordinator, Brad Saunders Action Vehicle Transportation Foreman, Shelley Sweetnam, driver cast. Polo Babbage, transportation captain. Victor Wilt, mechanic. Luke Wickerson, unit captain. Adam Whitley, mechanical doctor. Terence Taylor, driver, Charlize Theron. Tejana T. Singh, driver cast as Tejana Singh. Jim Robinson, production driver. Riggy Potter, transportation. Danny Pitchpel, swing coordinator. Colin McGade, facilitation manager. Warwick King, driver Tom Hardy. Harry John, driver cast as Aaron Brandhead. Claire Gazzeb, driver. Kenneth Fletcher, driver coordinator. Clinton Doprees, action vehicle buyer. Stephen Day, transportation captain. Ronnie Bias, driver. Annalise Andrews, action driver. Roger Abraham, transportation coordinator. When I saw the trailer of Mad Max Fury Road, I was positive it would be one I could not see. I don't like violent films and it like a glory violent mess. However, I always go through my process I describe for evaluating movies content in How to Be Mermaid and Like Movies. I look at reviews, the details content summarized on screener.com, and I ask friends who have seen the movie. To my surprise, I found it to have virtually no profanity and not to be as violent as I anticipated. It is an R, but most of this more likely like violence, some nudity and wicker battles. Convinced it was within my comfort level, I decided to go check it out. It's a very tricky movie to review because it does with trying to be masterfully well. I don't know what that can be debated. Whether such a masterwork in your cup of tea is another question. It's currently not a movie I will be frequently rewatching, but I did think it was a good and engaged me more than I would have guessed. All in all, it's a success and I can see why many people love it. I have not seen the original Mad Max movies because I always figured they were too violent, so perhaps I will give them a watch. The Mad Max doesn't have much of a plot, it's one action sequence after another. It does not try to have symbolism or a puzzle like a Nolan film might have. It doesn't have a strong lead character like a Blood film. The title is perhaps a misnomer because Mad Max has only a few lines of dialogue and it's a summer played with Charlize Theron and others. Basically, the plot that does first starts with setting. It is desert post-apocalyptic world that is ruled by a man named the Immortan Joe. Max has been entrusted in the force to be a blood bag of the war boys played by Nicholas Hoult. Charlize Theron is Furiosa was abducted 5 of Joe's wives called the Breeders. The rest of the movie is Max, Furiosa and crew getting chased by Joe and having intense battle with each other. Each of the cars is so immigration with one even being a giant speaker system with a guy playing an electrical guitar. There are cars that have been poured for people to swing onto other cars. There are rigs with gasolines and other covered in spikers. It keeps the action exciting because you don't know how the car works with and how fight will play out. For not speaking much, Tom Hardy is good as Mad Max, but the movie doesn't give you a lot of time to contemplate his character. I can't even imagine how violent it must be shot a movie like this with all the dust and dirt, but he is convincing as the strike anti-hero. The CG is kept to a minimum and at least appear to have a lot of practical effect. The stunt work is flawful. I wonder how much Hardy and did other of their own stunts. Whatever the percentage is by professional, you definitely cannot tell. It feels earthy and real, which we have not seen in an action film in a long time. I loved how much Mad Max handled in female character. It reminds me a little bit of Emily Blunt in The Age of Tomorrow. There are not glitches where women are damsel in the distress. Even the braver women are relatively complex, especially for the kind of movie. Charlize Theron is amazing. She is tough but has heart, and there is a moment that is completely devastating for her, and she sails it. There are different kinds of women: old women, young women, pregnant women, and they all defy female tropes. The last thing I expected in a movie like this is an awesome group of women, and it definitely helped sell me on the film. Hugh Bryan is good as the villain Immortan Joe, but most of the credit has to go to his costume and mask. There is such attention to detail, the amount of time that must have been inspired to get teeth right, skin layered and dry lips cracked. Everything covered in dust is mind-blowing. The makeup on the war boys, including Nicholas Hoult, is very convincing. They are brainwashed to believe if they are obedient servants to Joe, they will achieve immortality to the gates of heaven. Mad Max Fury Road is not a movie that gives the audience much time to breathe. There is very little dialogue and I'd feel like kind of execution by the end of it. But then again, I feel like I was trying to do something completely different and new, and from a comic book guys like the George Miller, it makes sense it primarily a sequel sparkless. Still, I pushed me to my limit above collective car battle sequence who knew I had a such limit. I'm a little surprised it's too unbelievably loved because I think a few people might be bothered by the thin plot and lack of character development. I guess they just don't accept it a new dazzling creature version of what war movies look like. After all, do we complain that the villain in a WW2 movie are not fleshed out enough? Do we want more dialogue in our John Wayne car movies? No, same with this. This is usually incredible in the action and impressive impression to cry the day. Like I said, the women put it over the hump of me to a strong recommendation. I was such a pleasant surprise and I bet you could see the movie and not even notice most of the women. They are just character in the movie like anybody else. It looks gorgeous. The action sequences are stunning and I was entertained. As for contact, it was some from a distance and women are make like cows with one being shot. Characters are stabbed, impaled, tortured and shot in the battle scenes. Another you see briefly has his face ripped off of the mask. A lot of crashes, explosion and sandstorm. They are intense. A woman has a mostly off screen and on an IV scene being inserted. I know it sounds crazy but it's actually more tame than you might think. No language. Mostly it's a lot of cars and broad fighting like a battle, then no one violence like you might get in a horror movie. A grade is tough because I feel like a little bit warny, but at the end it looks so good, the action is so well done and I like the female character, so I grade it 1. George Miller's Mad Max films didn't just make Mel Gibson a star, they completely transformation post-apocalyptic entertainment with their visceral stunt work and singular version of an increasingly desperate future. 3 decades after the last film, The Light American Mad Max film Thunderstorm, Miller's finally returned to this desolate landscape of the highly anticipated Mad Max Fury Road, recasting the little role in the gazetted visage of Tom Hardy as opening the stage with promise of vehicular mayhem on a level commences with that modern CGI audience have come to expect. From its very first scene, Fury Road vibrates with the energy of a Victorian filmmaker working at the top of this game, pushing us forward without the cheap special effect or paper thin characters that have so often defined the modern summer blockbuster. Miller has now just returned with a new installment in a money-making franchise. The man who wrote out the rule of the post-apocalyptic Asian gender has returned to show a generate a filmmaker how they have been stumbled in their attempts to follow in his footsteps. Who was more crazy, me or everyone else? In Mad Max Fury Road, Miller has pushed this Gabrielowski version of a world gone mad to its logical extreme. No longer are the people of Max Roxanne Stewart merely scavengers for oil or power, they have been transformed into creatures of circumstance, either left with one defining need or left anyone without succumbing for a reason. Fury Road is a violent film, but the violent act in this war doesn't feel like arbitrary action beats. They emerge for a complete lack of other option or a firm sense of straight up intensity. Miller's new version of Max is not a parody, or rather, he is a man driven by the memories of past sins to do a little more than survive. He walks with the ghost of those who he could not save, and his traveling companion have pushed him to the brink of sanity. While wandering at this age, Max is kidnapped and transformed into a literal blood bag for a feeler warrior named Nux, who served the whims of his manager role Immortan Joe, who also played the villain Tracus in the original Mad Max. From the start, Miller gives you no time to ace into the world or the story he wants to tell. The frame rate is accelerated, the editing is hypercreative, the bad guy speaking through a mask that makes half his dialogue incredible. The horrific version of the Miller's twisted future comes fast and furious. Immortan Joe is a barely alive freak of nature, kept breathing by tubes connected to his face and served by similarly disfigured half-human who is definitely named like Rictus Erickson and the People Eater. One of Joe's most notable variants is a powerful woman known as Imperator Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, who as the film opens is landing a convoy from Immortan Joe's citadel to the oil refinery gas town, which she devastates of course. It turns out that Furiosa has kidnapped Joe's breeders, the women he keeps prisoner in an effort to create a male heir. She is taking them to the green place to safety. Of course, Joe stands his man after Furiosa, including Nux, to whom Max is still attached, and the rest of Mad Max. Fury Road consists of one long sustained cast across the unforgettable desert. With the exception for one enterprise of dialogue, the film takes place almost entirely on the move, speeding, chasing, bouncing, and exploding across Miller's scorched landscape. As a reflection of more desperate times, Miller has updated the needs of his future world. From commodities like oil to poor survival, Max has been remedied as a fighting driving machine, a man who finds his own way moving forward in an attempt to outrun his ghost. Nux is a brainwashed goon, a man creature who believes that he will die and reborn after sacrificing himself for a trip to Valhalla. Max eventually steps into the role of the action hero, but is one of their most daring moves. Miller gives the weight of the narrative to Furiosa, a woman who holds onto the only thing that could possibly give her hope in this violent world, the next generation. Theron does arguably the best work for her career here, artfully conveying the drive in Furiosa's soul in a way that fuels the entire film. She does more with a scaring stare or blends jaw the most actress could with a page of dialogue, and one should not undervalue the empowerment message at the heart of the film. Eve Ensler, author of the Vagina Montpulse, consulted with Miller on the script, which suggests that women as the creature of new life will inherently always be the gender that holds hardest on to hope for the future. Furiosa looks at the intensity of the male leadership around her and decides enough is enough. When one of Furiosa's ward goes into labor and still defends herself and her yet to be born child after being shot, no less, it's hard not to see Fury Road as an answer to the Moko nonsense that so often defines the action genre. But none of that should remotely imply that the action here is lost in the message, the pacing, the sound design, the editing, the music, and some of Joe Freaky who plays drums and electrical guitar during the action, and even the emotional stakes and all are far above average that they make just about any other car chase movie looks like a second Sunday driven by comparison. The first chase in Fury Road as Joe's men catch up to Furiosa and her precious cargo is one of the most remarkable action sequences in the film history. And that's really just a warm-up. It's no exaggerative to say that if you think something in Fury Road is the most breathing action stunts you have seen in years, you really only need wait a few minutes to see something better. This is a movie where you keep thinking that it's reached its apex and then inexplicably that moment is left behind in the dust. From the very beginning, Miller and his team do something that so many other filmmakers failed to do. They define the geography of their action. Rather than merely loitering the camera around in the vain hopes of creating tension, they constantly give the viewer overhead shots and clear physical dimension of what's happening and where we are going, and then they blow it all up. There are dozens of crashes, explosions, and flying bodies in Fury Road, and yet the piece never gets repetitive, especially as the emotional stakes increase with each sequence. Miller knows when to let the piece coast when it needs to, which is rarely, and then he pushes the pedal down and plasters you to your seats. Mad Max Fury Road is an action film about redemption and revelation, never content to merely repeat what she has done before. Even the first three Mad Max have very distinct personalities. Miller has redefined his vision for the future yet again, vibrantly imagining a world in which men have become the pawns of insane leaders and women hold fiercely onto the last vestige of hope. Fury Road would be remarkable enough as a poor technical accomplishment, a film that laughs in the face of blockbuster CGI, argues with some of the best editing and sound design the genre has ever seen, and yet Miller reaches for something greater than technical prose. He holds aloft the action templates that he created with The Road Warrior and asks that Hollywood should not have been copying it for the past 3 decades. They should have been building on it. Fury Road is a challenge to a whole generation of action filmmakers, arguing them to blow its urgent pause into the gender future and, like Miller, try their hardest to create something new. The first time I walked out of the streaming of Mad Max Fury Road, I felt shell-shocked. In some ways, Fury Road is everything I expected. It is often co-founded its engine roar and explosive, while Fury is loud and intense. But these things are not enough now. In 2 decades plus aftermath of Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and the steady scamming summer transports that have followed, I feel dismissed to the capture generation and often structural destruction that's defined the arena these kind of movies has operated, and it's not I don't enjoy them. But my capacity of surprising is difficult to stare. It turns out the vision and sheer direction Audacity can stare that capacity just fine. Mad Max Fury Road is honestly a sequel to the original 1979 film and its follows up. But it appears free of much in the ways of obligation to fiction or canon. You don't need to have much of the time to grok the premises of this new film. The human nature, along with the helping of post-peak oil and weapons of mass destruction, that human nature, along with the helping of peak oil, he poisoned the world, leaving an artificial post-apocalypse in its lake. Water is scarier and gasoline and the injury-rigged vehicle at Rogers is trolled everything. The Richter Max is a no-mom survival in the wasteland where the film doesn't miss word or script pages before he is captured and he is made a human blood bag for the minions. Immortan Joe's most accomplished field commander has betrayed him. Mad Max Fury Road named Best Films of 2015 by worldwide critics. Even before its release, early reaction to Mad Max Fury Road's painting to the films was an action masterpiece that ranks among director George Miller's best works. However, preliminary response to upcoming release on often be misleading. But then the franchise reboot sequel hit theaters to say that Mad Max Fury Road has been flooded with critical acclaim and as overwhelming warm response by audience would be an understatement. Now the film features Tom Hayden in the title role as a scene-stealing turn by Charlize Theron can add one more accomplishment to its phenomenal theatrical run. The International Federation of Film Critics has selected Miller's Mad Max Fury Road as the best film of 2015, awarding is the organization's annual Grand Prix. History dates back to the 1920s, with sections in the 50s nations from all across the world. In an open poll, its 493 members nominated films released for the award and they select from 4 finalists. The other 2015 films that were under consideration were Hussein, The Assassin, Son of Saul, and Jafar Panahi's Taxi. Miller will be acknowledged at the opening ceremony of the 3rd San Sebastian Film Festival later this month, where Mad Max Fury Road will be screened. Since its introduction in 1999, previous receptionist of the FIPRECSI Grad Mix has been included filmmakers like Jean-Luc Godin, Michael Huyken, Paul Thomas Anderson, Jafar Panahi, Pedro Almora, Nuri Belgosile, and Richard Linklater. That's quite an accomplished group. And given the whispered love Miller's most recent film has seen, it's not surprising to see Mad Max Fury Road on the receiving end of such recognition. After all, the film has been universally praised for its imagination, practice effect, strong world building, and standout performance by the likes of Theron and Nicholas Hoult, plus the fact that much of its running time, release, and visual storytelling likely translated into more internationally accomplished. As evidenced by talk of a silence cut of the film making its way to Blu-ray. Needless to say, we are right, the FIPRECSI on the one, having already declared Mad Max Fury Road among our picks for the best film of the year so far. We are hoping all the love will motivate Miller to start work on the planned follow-up to the chapter of Mad Max story. You don't just watch Mad Max Fury Road, you rock out to it. If you are released the Mad Max series, your heart will leap in Mad Max Fury Road for the first time. A wardig made of Lefton, the log barrier, Alonso oil, and especially Babe. It's a signature move by director George Miller, who gets scary claws and says, "Eat my dust." That dust tastes him good. The majority of sequels have no reason for being apart from sequel money, but watching this 4th Mad Max, I could sense after roughly 0.001 second that the 70-years-old Austin director has been reviving his engine for a long time, itching to get back to the backdrop and deliver even wilder automatic meme. After all, his last 2 films, Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2, centers on animated dancing penguins. He has some serious punk cred to restore. As you no doubt know from all the buzz, most critics think Miller he has scared back in the sum and they have given him a hero's welcome. This gives me feel happy. The man made Mad Max The Fury Road, Leonard's Isle, and especially Babe, Pig in the City, which is like Gerard's Web related by Dickens. As a sequel, a box office mega bomb, and a film starring a pig, it has never gotten its due. And Mad Max Fury Road is currently a blast and a half. You don't just watch it, you rock out to it. How satisfied you will be after all the wows and hews will depend on how fine you are with the film that starts in the middle of the story and basically a long chase. I saw it twice and liked it vastly more than second time around when I'd adjust my expectation and had my bearing from the get to go. Then it becomes about tagging the spectralist, not to mention the hilarious sexual politics. This is not, it should be said, a reward. It's the same Mad Max post Thunderstorm Thor now played by Tom Hardy, Mel Gibson, having been judged too old and more reported, too generally made to continue in the series that launched him to Storm 36 years ago. My word is fire and plug, said Max in voiceover, standing on a cliff at one with the peasant post-apocalyptic wasteland. His face hidden by a storm of healthy hair, he storms a big boot down a scurrying lizard, snatched it up, and shoves it in his mouth. Crunch. A blizzard of Imogen walk in his inner life, bombs, bodies, and killing of the wife and child. The little girl calls to him in visions, which struggles because I remember his child being a toddler and a boy, but it was a long time and many bodies ago, and I might be wrong. Or maybe she is not his child but a shot of MSCC from the world of child spirits. Miller does a cool struck up his fun house effect with the little girl's face, now flesh, now bone, now flesh again. Max finds like Mud to be emotionally dead, number to the crank, but his puppet keeps jolting back to life. The prologue in which Max is chased, captured, tossed, branded, and put in a cage by riders from a towering citadel is stunning, well done, particularly if you see the film in 3D, which Miller uses like a macabre rings master, chucking arrows, bones, and part of cars and bodies at you. This citadel, known far and wide as the Citadel, is provided by Immortan Joe, a strangely deforced tyrant who stands high above the sheeple, promising them immortal life in the corridors of Valhalla while taunting them for their dependence. He makes them beg for water. Actually, everyone in the Citadels is sickeningly disfigured, emaciated, or starved with tremors from living in a radioactive landscape. But Immortan Joe takes the uranium cake. His flesh is mortal and covered with jade stuff in a steel mask notable for its needle set of coppers. He looks like a watting Shirokon head topped with a white fright wig. This is all awesome, but I actually had a hard time getting past and into the movie. Max is not just emotionally remote, he mutters with dread and keeps in shadow. He is chained to the front of a truck, everything below his eyes concealed by a steel face cage. It's mightily persuaded that here in the Dark Knight Rises as actor, which may be the most fascinating visage in movies, spends so much time behind a mask. You do get a lot from those eyes, which signal sadness and desperation, but the lips are where it's at. They are not just fashionably pillows, there's no brandy property, their signal is selling excess of emotions. They make you understand why the sounds like came out of his mouth are not always recognizable as English. That words could do justice to that much feelings, casting Hardy as a man who sprawled his emotions and then covering his face in just made half an hour into Mad Max Fury Road. I felt that if the nominal hero and I had not been properly introduced. There is of course another heroine. The story proper kicks off when Immortan Joe's top rider Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron with a shaved head and one steel arm, sets off on a mission in a remarkable vortex before suddenly changing course. Jaws checks on the breeders but they are gone. He screams to heaven and order up his army. The chase is on. Wait, who is Furiosa? She has barely said a word. Who or what are the breeders? Who is the old woman shriking at Immortan Joe? By now it's clear the Miller's strategy to throw you into the tempestuous action and only later show you what's at stake and why you should care. He thinks he is cunningly withholding major details to keep you guessing, but there is not enough information to guess from before he, cuts to the case. It's backward stories. Call me progress, but I like a little more context of my meme, which is why I was more involved the second time. When I knew Firoza know the breeders and know a bit more about why Max was on the front of a truck connected by the ivy line to a skinny bad guy with a white face and branched eye stalks who looks on first and second glance exactly like the hundred other skinny guys with white faces and blackened eyes shocked but turns to be a major character called Nux Necklace Holt. Mad Max Fury Road wakes up dramatically speaking when Max and Furiosa meet with rousingly staged fisticuffs at first but soon with more affection, slightly more anyway. Both are hot, having been turned into leather by strategy. Their war of connections in Frosa is not too trusting of men to begin with. It's an extraordinary performance by Theron, who barely emotes but whose heartless is broken by glints of guilt and grief. It's a mighty moment when, given terrible news, he stretches toward the titanic sand dunes. It rises from a nowhere, but nothing less would be worthy of her, and thanks to her knives in despair at times like that, you might wish the film had been called Mad Maxine and had followed her from the start. It's a woman-centric movie. Furiosa is fleeing across the vast wasteland in search for a matricial oasis. She calls the green place for many mothers, and those breeders turn out to be a pampered harem of lowly model types, one white blonde, one red, and one tall and black-haired, and smaller and more racially exotic, tasking with bearing Immortan Joe's healthy children. Why a group of women so skinny they look as if they are pitched off the side of running away from lake of food should be so eventually desirable in a time of sickness and starvation in a mystery, but not really much of one given the high level of mozo on display. Maybe the best visual joke in the movie is when Max stretches out of the desert and beholds them for the first time, shimmering in the heat. Rosie Harrington, Whiteley, Zoe Crowdy, Abby Lee, Courtney Eaton, and Riley of skimpy, shorty, filmy dresses, housing on another of in lyrics, semi-slow motion. Mad Max Fury Road is actually full brilliant visual jokes. It's desert, a mythic stage of a pump rocko. Critics of freaks behold the great pile of steering wheels on which he bought various descents. Each man brings his own way with revenge as if Excalibur. There's a little tree in the middle of the desert that looks like it's waiting for Valdemir and Estragon. The sight of a half dozen or so bongo drummers on the back of the war rig is a marvelous setup for the revelation of the masked heavy metal rocker. Guitarist tried to be front his instrument blazing flames at moment of the peak bloodist. The authors of the Dome 95 would be pleased. Miller has incorporated his musician into the action, and the climax high-speed road battle warrior on long poles bend in and out of the frame throwing bombs and snatching up women. It's as if you had smoked weed and started watching an old western and suddenly the Ghetto turned into a truck full of supermodel and the charging engine vampire acrobat. The knowledge that the vampire acrobat are mostly real stuntmen moving really fast instead of is and on is a computer adds exponentially to the VTF content. Miller's clearly felt he needed to rise the stakes atop himself in Mad Max Fury Road, and the road fury is indeed packed with multiple crazy funny variables. But at the end of the road, I have to admit that I prefer the cleaner, sharper climax of the Road Warrior, which has on CGI whatsoever you lost things in the clutter. That said, Miller has a trick up his sleeve that he didn't 3 decades ago, Grenier on motorcycles. It turned out that what compelled him to make his fourth Mad Max was the notion of the nurturing society far removed from the grotesque stadium of male warrior culture, the gorgeously wealth-born old women who roar out of the wasteland. To great Firosa and company tolerate Max and show some affection of Nux, the bald, mortality, ill white-painted war boy who longed to die in battle but was so lovable clumsy that he wound up on the side of the girls. But these stuffed old birds don't want or need men. Those disease-carrying homicidal brats who turned a world that was once a garden into a nuclear wasteland. Also, the old ladies gaze on those cut little models as if it would be really nice to curl up with them under the stars. It's a wonderful joke that so-called menstruatory groups have expressed outrage over Mad Max Fury Road so wonderful that I suspect the studies of cooking up the controversy by itself. I didn't know that such morons actually exist. In their eyes, Miller has committed an unforgettable sins by appreciating their cultural space to promote feminism. He has made a movie with more amazing motorcycle than a biker's rally and more high decibel smash up than a monster truck even has. He has stuffed this with every shape and size of gun imaginable. Bua then he made a ball chicks and a bunch of granny more potent than armed of male giant with mighty spaces who turned out under all the war paint to be gallant babies with disease ridden pencil dicks. The final battle takes place in a narrow passage through a canyon that looks suspiciously like a stand-in from the gates of Thermopolis. That's when it really hits you. Currently, Mad Max Fury Road has a rating of Rotten Tomatoes of 98%. Critics love it. It's one of the best reviewed movies of the year, but I was overwhelmed. To me, it's Max. Why didn't I like What's My Major Obsession? Well, it's a 2 hour chase movie. It's expertly done with powerful photography and great animation. It's over the top the way wears on over the top an area to chase in post-apocalyptic world, but it's 2 hours major chess movie. And I could give why do I think critics love it? A few reasons beyond the super elective mentioned above. It's directed by George Miller, who directed the original movies with Mel Gibson, Mad Max, The Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderstorm, as well as Small Ideas and Feel Good Biggle, Happy Feet, so the author who's are bored. Charlize Theron's Imperator Furiosa is a kick-ass character who is the equal or better or Tom Hardy's Max, so people in favor of strong female character are on board. It relies on stunts rather than CGI. We get real people on there on the screen, so the folks who are tired of CGI and want some semblance of authentication from their absurd action movies are on board. As Defensiva is saturated with color and gradually photographed, it's not the grey rainy despers of the Dark Knight Hunger Games, so the cinematographics are on the board. Plus, some people like a 2 hour chase movie. I'm just not one of them. In those post-apocalyptic world in which the lone of level sounds scratched from away, Max is haunted by the past and the present. The past is made of loved ones he could not save, wife, children. In the present, he is simply haunted. The bad guys want him for his car, his hair, his blood. They all get it. We have been reduced to a barbaric caste society, peasant, most of us begging for food and water. The varied class, changly skinned and in need for blood transfusion, and the ruling class led by Morton Joe Tafong in the original Mad Max. He's got massive swords on his back. He's a hymn of Victoria's Secret models with whom he is hoping to breed the future of the human race or something. What does civilization end? We get snapped and cracked of news agreed on something about running out of oil, then water. Why do we run out of water? It is global warming. Pipe down, Brian, the chase is on. The plot is propped by Furiosa, who steals Immortan's harem with the hope of taking them to the green place, the Adric land on the other side of the desert where she grew up and where life is good, or reasonably so. At the moment Furiosa's strategy is released, a capture Max is providing an outside-down blood transfusion to the warrior Nux. Unrecognizable Nicholas Hoult, and Nux instead on joining the chase, so he does it with Max stabs on the front of his car. After much flicking of cars and riding of Sandstorm, and much after mutual suspicion, Max and Furiosa join forces, which makes sense. The heroes are all good looking, while the villains are mostly gastiques. I too find it amusing. It's a word of sacrificing. We will taste it. We drive gas-guzzling monster trucks and split water over where no one cares about anything. We have not learned a thing. A few moments I like. When Max turns the counter and sees the supermodels washing off, it's so absurd, such a software image in such gritty wasteland. I laughed out loud. The near death of the Splendor Angart, pregnant with Immortan Joy's child, since is followed by her actual death a second later. We got from 4 to ops in second. The Millers shout, Psyche. How the green place is no longer green place, and the answer to their problem is the place where this problem began. The chase is full circle. The third attack we have all bending over moving vehicle and dropping barrier out our heroes. But Mad Max is all about the chase, and I am not in the toxic exploration with the aproductive values. It's what we feel with while the world burns. Why did you before the apocalypse, Daddy? I watched post-apocalyptic movie, son. Charlize Theron has a surprise cameo of shots in Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. It's not from the Fury Road montage that closed the film. Mad Max Fury Road spent over a decade in development hell and the movie's shot was legendarily tough. Not only did it result in the best Mad Max movie, but this 2015 sequel was one of the best action movies of the decade period. While development, Mad Max Fury Road developed into prequels stories alongside it. One followed Max and is dubbed The Wasteland, while Furiosa tells the origin of Charlize Theron's Imperator. The prequel would itself spend years in development hell, but sadly, Furiosa Mad Max Saga was a box office bum. The film is doing well on VOD, but it feels like another outing in the series is a long way off. Regardless of the tepid box office, Furiosa still leaves a partly positive critical reactions, with Anya Taylor-Joy being praised after her turn as the title character. It was so small task placing Charlize Theron, but the transition from the prequel version of the character to Fury Road feels widely seamless. Charlize Theron appears at the end of the Furiosa, reusing a deleted Fury Road scenes. So much of Anya Taylor-Joy screening in the prequel, she doesn't bear a huge physical resemblance to Theron's Furiosa. She retains her long hair and only loses her arm towards the final chapter. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga's ending, has the character shaving her head and becoming the character seen in the next entry. In the final shot of Furiosa, it's even possible to see a shot of Charlize Theron playing the role as the ritual imperator in scene, leading Immortan Joe's wives to the hiding in the war rigs. In the final scene is timely and Furiosa's fate is hard to see, but brightening the image leave no doubt that Theron is playing the role. Of course, this is not new footage but a deleted scene recycled from Mad Max Fury Road. This was confirmed on X as the movie's storyboard artist Mark H. Sexton reveals this scene was filmed from Fury Road and purpose for Furiosa. While some fans would have loved Theron to have surprised the role, this cameo is her only appearance in the film. Why Charlize Theron didn't return for Furiosa Mad Max Saga? Charlize Theron as Furiosa looking up arm in the Mad Max Fury Road. After Mad Max Fury Road was released, there was already sales out for a sequel. Unfortunately, the wheels turned slow on the next film, so by the time Furiosa was greenlit, Charlize Theron has aged out of being able to play a younger take on the Imperator. While Gigi Davies was considered, Miller explained to Empire via IGN that he didn't feel the itch was there to convincingly pull off the effect after watching other big movies try it. I began thinking, oh, maybe we could digging the watch a really masterful filmmaker like Ang Lee and Martin Scorsese doing Gemini Man and The Irishman. I saw that I didn't be liked. All wouldn't be watching it. Look how well the technology works. I would not have been persuading. Despite this, Miller explores AI combined the facial features of young Furiosa performer Alan Brownie with Anya Taylor-Joy. This had the effect of making it feel like Brownie boards and a confusion. No verbal. That's not exactly the first word we think of when we think all of modern day movies. After all, there are people in movies and people have a tendency to no verbalize even it's just to a volleyball. But no verbal is exactly the word director George Miller uses to describe a movie in an interview in the DVD extras. People obviously speak in the movies, he says, but they only speak when it's absolutely necessary. So if the movie doesn't have a lot of talking, how we can follow the story? Typically, movies rely on ample dialogue to build their characters and provide exposition for the storyline. It's a relatively non-verbal movie. We viewers don't have the resource. Instead, Miller relies on visual storytelling. Almost everything we need to know we can glean with our eyes if we know more where to look. Acting without speaking. Allow Tom Hardy to explain. We are acting in a move that is visually driven as if we are watching with the character does by seeing them go through one physical limit after another and how it affects them. It was a very difficult story to tell. When he meets in the sense the characters in Fury Road don't go around talking about his feelings and explaining their thoughts, we are left with their behavior, their actions, body language and decisions to determine what's going on in their heads. They tell the story through his physicality. Looking for a great example for the technique, look no further than the scene when Max arrives at the War X and first meets Furiosa and the wives. He hardly says a word. After all, He is half crazy from years of wandering the desert. Instead, he gets his message across his wild gestures and his facial expressions, which is all the more impressive considering most of his face is hidden by the muzzle. We see confusion in his eye when he sees his brothers, and particularly when he sees them remove Jaddo's chesty belt. We know he is thirsty because when he sees the water, he licks his lips. We see he senses Furiosa in a threat because he has Dag bring him the belt cutters to remove the chain that attached him to Nux. And we know that all despite the fact that at this moment he speaks a grand total of word, water, and you. But of course, visual storytelling is not just about the actor do, it's about the way his word looks. And the little details contribute to the overall picture. For example, the fact that the scheme is called decorate everything, including the bodies of those who do not, inspiring tell us the immortal Zeus power in both violent and absolute. For more on this, see sample and tropes. Aside from visuals and storytelling, Fury Road makes out of a few other narrative tropes. Brief dramatic flashbacks both in his our understanding of Max madness and also hint at a dark past. His voiceovers narrating at the beginning, coupled with audio snippet, gives us all the exposition we need. The world has gone to port and Max is struggling to survive. These narrative tropes don't define the movie or create any sort of overarching framework. They are simply utilized written. Allowing the storytelling of remain largely visual while delivering the audience important information is an artful subtitle way. Mad Max Fury Road inciting events. Furiosa takes a turn from her expected route to drive the Vortex full of water, women, and gasoline in a different directions. Immortan Joe gathers his forces and pursues it, with Max mode involved as a blood bag because he is a universal blood donor. Mounted on the prow of the war by Max pursued vehicles, a sandstorm lies between Furiosa and escape. First plot point. Passing through the sandstorm, Nuck vehicle is destroyed and because they are chained together, Max hauls him towards the Vortex, intended on stealing it from Furiosa. He sees the real price Immortan Joe's wives, but he just sees them as obstacle to this theft and escape. Furiosa's kill switch prevent him from stealing the Vortex, so he reluctantly agrees to escape together with Furiosa and the other women, the Splendid Asgard and others. The chain with Nux is cut away but Nexus pursues on foot. First pinpoint. Furiosa drives to the mountain pass where he has an agreement with the biker gang to collapse the passage in exchange for the full tank of gasoline. She promised to be alone without pursuit, but they can see three war bands coming from way. A fight breaks out and Furiosa depends on Max to drive them out of there. The bikers gang destroy the pass to block Joy's army temporarily but attack the Vortex as Furiosa attempts to escape without paying them. Immortan Joe's army catch up after Nux hops abroad and pulls a hydraulic flood line to slow down the Vortex. One of the wives, the Splendid Asgard, pregnant with Joe's child, falls out and is run over by Joe's vehicle. Nux realizes his failure would make him mediocre to Joe, putting his self-worth into question, not allowed to enter Joe's promise after all life in Valhalla. As Joe stops to watch Splendid and tries serving their children, the Vortex escapes. Furiosa explained to Max they are escaping to the green place where he grew up and was stolen from as a child, where women were free, capable approach the despairing Nux, comfort him, and they form a bond. Second pinch point. Joe's ally the Bullet Farmer pursue with his own army without Joe at night when the Vortex come to a water place and is stuck in the mud just as the Bullet Farmer catches up. Nux helps to free the truck while Max and Furiosa fight the army. Max attempts to shoot the Bullet Farmer's searchlight but misaims. He hands his rifle to Furiosa who aims to shooting the Bullet Farmer in the eyes, who is now blindly shooting instead and killing everyone, even the wives. Nux says one of the engine is down and needs to be cooled so he can get it working. Max, growing respect for Furiosa, leads him to attack the Bullet Farmer on his own, telling Furiosa to drive further on and leave him if he's not back by the time the engine cools. Max slaughters the Bullet Farmer army and comes back with a case of weapons and bullets. Furiosa recognizes a landmark and calls out to those she knows are watching. It's several women on motorbike, the Babilani, those from her clan who lived in with her at the green place. The Dag learn from the seeds the Babilani carries hopes for growing crops someday. Furiosa discovers from then his swampy land where the truck got stuck was the green place, but it's contaminated and dying up. Furiosa despairs. But they have water for 166 days. Firoza decided to lead a convoy across the wasteland in search of somewhere else. But Max stays behind, initially deciding to rather survive on his own. After a flash of memory back to what he lost and failed to protect the chassis and stop this convoy and convince Firoza a trip across the wasteland is a hopeless plan. And it would be better to fix the real problem. Go back and take over the citadel they escaped from with the help of the Vavolini because it has laws of clean water and guarantee which they can use to build a life and also save all those enslaved by Joe. Max agrees to fight with them. The war passes Joe's army and then pursues them back towards the pass. Toast the Annoying is captured, many of the Vavolini are killed, Firoza stabs but Chidu pretends to kill himself to help while Firoza manages to kill Immortan Joe. The Dash saves the cheese of seeds. Nex realizes he will not make it, so sacrifices her life to kill Joe's son Rectus and cut off pursuit by destroying the war rig and exploding the gasoline in order to bring down the pass and block it. Max, Firoza and the other drive off in Joe's vehicle safely. Firoza is dying. Max recognizes she is the leader of the citadel and needs to live in freedom. Max gives Firoza a blood transfusion to save her life. The people at the citadel see Joe's dead body and realize he is not immortal after all. They chant Firoza's name as she releases water to quench their thirst. With Firoza fully in charge, Max slips away into the crowd. The story is far more stable than most realize. The key to understand is knowing it's about a man and a woman going a non-romantic relationship built on trust and mutual respect. Max is not a side character as some people think. Max is the main character of the emotional journey. He changed the most and does in critical ways to affect the story at the end of each act. Firoza is the protagonist of the physical journey, but also the impact character that pushes Max to change. He changes from a man focused on his own survival alone to one agreeing to scope everyone there, to one willing to fight their enemies and let his allies escape without him, to one willing to purpose a better plan and help see it through to the end. Firoza and Max grow to respect and trust each other simply by observing each other's action. Once Max has Firoza's trust, after discovering the green piece is no longer a visible option, she is willing to trust his judgment and listen to new plan to return the citadel. Solving their problem instead of fleeing from it, Max in turn becomes so respecting of Firoza that he sacrifices his own blood to save her life in the climactic moment. The story is about their relationship and what mutual respect and trust can do to build a create and free society. What people call is a feminism film. It's not about hating men or attacking men. The feminism is about both the theme of respect and trust between men and women and how that heals both. As you know, the new installment in Mad Max Firoza Mad Max Saga is releases. So what to remember from Mad Max Fury Road before watching Firoza? Nearly 10 years after Mad Max Fury Road scored its spot in the canon of all-time great action movies, Australian filmmaker George Miller has returned with a prequel that transformed viewers back in the time in the wasteland, with Elena Brownie and Anaya Taylor-Joy playing younger versions of Charlize Theron's character in Fury Road. Firoza Mad Max Saga in theater May 24 translates Firoza section from a prisoner of the warlord Dementis, played by Chris Hemsworth, to one of the fastest broad warriors serving under the tyrant Immortan Joe in Firoza and the late Tufki Brian in Fury Road. Like Fury Road, Firoza takes place in a post-apocalyptic Australia ravaged by a nuclear war fought over oil and other resources. Despot rules reign with an iron fist with the brutal remaining of civilization, while savage biker gangs dot the desert, seek vengeance for fuel and anything else they can find. As lord of the citadel, a fortress built on top of the natural aquifer, Immortan Joe rations out water to a desperate populace while he and his inner circle live luxuriously above the ferry. He called off half-life. War boys worship him like a god ready to die on his behalf at any moment, while higher-rank officers drive Decker out war rigs across the wasteland to trade water crops and other supplies for gasoline and ammunition at the nearby stronghold of Gastown at the Bullet Farm. Firoza explores how it regular heroine rose to rank of the Imperator and came to drive the war rigs she uses to smuggle Immortan Joe's prized female slaves, his so-called 5 wives, out of the citadel in Fury Road. Is what to remember from Fury Road and the Max universe as a whole before seeing Firoza. What we already know about Firoza. since Miller had already developed an origin story of Firoza while making Fury Road. The 2015 movie revealed a number of major details about her life leading up to that point in time. In order to tell the story of Fury Road, we had to understand everything about what we have seen on the screen. Not only the backstory of every character, but every props, every vehicle, mirror set of this process at CinemaCon 2024. We wrote the story of Firoza in the 15 or 16 years on her life before we meet her in Fury Road. We wrote a story about Max in the year before we got there, and so on. They ended up being a screenplay and one was a novella. We did it just for the actors and crew so that they could understand it. We knew that Firoza was abducted as a child from a hidden matriarchal oasis known as the Green Place of the Many Mothers, a tribe of women also refers to as the Vavulani. Firoza's mother died 3 days after she was kidnapped, and Firoza spent the next 15 or so years fighting to survive and return home. At some point during the time period, she lost the majority of her arm and replaced it with the Megadeth claw prosthetic. In Fury Road, Firoza makes her long-awaited breaks for the Green Place with Immortan wives in tow, only to learn that the once fertile land had sources and the majority of the Vavulani were dead. Firoza screamed and battled Immortan in the process and setting in motion and a new era in the wasteland. As of young Firoza's relationship with her copper Dementus, Hemsworth told IGN that his character views her as a sort of replacement of his dead children. We get a little insight into this backstory that he has lost someone at some point, he said. I think he sees a strength in her that is familiar and reminds him of his old children. In his eyes, he believes that he is preparing her for the wasteland. He is trying to toughen her up, he says. However, Firoza doesn't see things the same way. According to Taylor Joy, does Firoza love Dementus? She asks ethically no. While the event of Firoza directly precedes those of Fury Road, given the timeline inconsistency between Fury Road and the original Max trilogy, the 2015 movie is meant to serve as more of a spiritual prequel to remove out the first 3 movies in the saga. In 1979's Mad Max and 1982's Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, starring Mel Gibson as the Riddler Max, and set in the mid-1980s, Earth is still on the brink of total collapse. At the start of the first movie, a global oil crisis sparks social and economic breakdown. In the second movie, society has crumbed, but the world has not yet been decimated. It's until somewhere between the events of The Road Warrior and 1985 Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, set around 15 years later at the nuclear apocalypse, takes place. However, a Mad Max Fury Road comic book prequel series released to consummate with the 2015 movie, which recast Tom Hardy and Max, and it is hinted to take place around 2050. It combines a number of aspects and franchise in the new timeline. The nuclear apocalypse took place after the event of the first Mad Max, with Hardy's Max having fled out into the wasteland as fallout and contamination spread across the earth sometime after 2015. Going forward, Miller had said he is interested in returning with the Mad Max universe with a film initially titled Mad Max The Wasteland that would be tangibly linked to Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road Analysis. Today we launch a new weekly series in what we will be analyzing movie currently in release. Why? To quite the writing meant I coined over 5 years ago. Watch movies, wrote scripts, write pages, and we will note which one comes first. Here are my reflection from the post about the importance of watching movies. To be a good screenwriter, you need to have a broad exposure to the world of film. Every movie you see is a potential reference point of your writing. Everything from story concepts you generate to characters you develop to scenes you construct. Moreover, people who work in the movies business constantly reference existing movies when discussing stories throughout it. It's a short line of it of getting across what the means or vision. But most importantly, you need to watch movies in order to get how movie stores work. If you immerse yourself in the world of film, it's like a gestalt experience where you begin to grasp initiatively scene compositions, story structure, character function, dialogue and subtext, transitions and pausing, and so on. Let me add that it's important to see the movies as they got released so that they stay on the top of the business. Decisions get made in the Hollywood in large part depending upon how movies perform. So watching movies as they come out puts you in the same headspace as reps, producers, axes and buyers. The week's movie Mad Max Fury Road, written by George Miller and Brandon McReady and Nico, directed by George Miller, starring Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. For those of who do not have seen the movie, Do not click more, we will be trafficking in major spoiler. If you have seen Mad Max Fury Road, I invite you to join me in breaking down the movie. Max Stroncy opened with a voiceover narrating that he was once a cop and road warrior and is now trekking through the post-apocalyptic Australia, running from the haunting thoughts of his dead wife and child and the dead people he's encountered. A two-headed lizard crawls up near Max and he storms off it. Before eating it, he drives off and is quickly pursued by a group of scavengers called the Wire Boys. We are all paled and covered in blisters due to radiation sickness. This caused Max to the desert and caused him to crash before they capture him. In the ending, we see the whole group ride back in the direction of the Citadel. Joe sees them riding from their telescope, knowing full well what their plan is. He gathered his army and gave chase. The Wolverine helped fight back. The Valkyrie shoot at the war boys while defending one of her own until she is run over. Max and Furiosa kill some of the war boys, while Max gets Joe to kill the people eater by using him as a homing shield. The keeper of the seeds is also killed, which one of the war boys cuts her neck. Toast is captured by the Joe and held hostage. Furiosa is impaled and gets weaker as Joe and Rictus gain momentum. Toast distracts Joe long enough to give Furiosa an opportunity to hook Joe's mask onto the wheels of his car. She growls "Remember me" to him as the wheels rip the mask and Joe's face off, killing him. The Rick then heads towards the cannon with Rictus still trying to kill the group. The woman gets off safely while Nux says goodbye to Capable and Savage against the cannon, sacrificing himself to kill Rictus and collapse the overpass to put an end to Joe's army. On the way back, the Citadel Furiosa lungs collapse nearly. Max punctured a hole in her side to give her air.